Welcome to the Plant Grow Reap podcast.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Plant Grow and Reap. Today will be the second installment of, our sub-series on corporate wellness. So my name is Amy. I'm the Accounting Operations Manager at Aintree Group. And today we have Krishan with us, who's one of our accountants, and Bridgette is one of our bookkeeping team. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. So today we're going to be discussing about inclusion and diversity and how that impacts your wellness in a corporate environment and obviously in society as a whole and as human beings, which we are first and foremost above anything else. So if we could just briefly start, maybe we'll just do an introduction of ourselves, our backgrounds, and what we bring to the conversation to give a bit of context to where we're coming from. Bridgette, did you want to kick off?
Yes. Hello, everybody. So I was born in Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, if you don't know where that is. So pretty much a neighbor of South Africa. That was where I was born. And after high school, I moved to New Zealand.
Wow.
So that's why I did my university. And basically, that's where everything started. After graduation, I moved to Australia. So I've been in Australia for almost 15 years.
Yeah, so you did your primary school as we know it and high school in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And then you did your further training in New Zealand?
Yes, I did my university where I finished my graduation and then moved to Australia.
Yeah, right. So you started your career in Australia, but you did all your schooling in New Zealand and Zimbabwe. Yeah, right. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So I would say in the, Zimbabwean standards, what you call a halfie.
Okay.
My mum is actually, because we have different languages.
Yeah.
So she's from a different culture. Yeah. And my dad is from a different culture as well.
Were they both born in Zimbabwe?
Both born in Zimbabwe. Yeah. But my grandparents, my mum's parents were not really from Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how my culture is very diverse.
Yeah,
so they're from Botswana, as well, which is in Southern Africa.
Yeah,
and my granddad was also in South African as well.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then everyone met up in Zimbabwe and created your family.
Yes, definitely.
Amazing. That's great.
And now I'm here.
Excellent. Thanks for that background.
No problem.
Krishan, how about you?
Yes, I was born in Sri Lanka. I have the Sri Lankan background. I did my high school in Sri Lanka, so I think pretty much I came to Australia with my whole family. I think when I was pretty much 21 years old.
Yeah.
I just came to my degree. I studied my accounting degree in Deakin University.
Yeah.
So I spent three years, almost 2.5 years over there. Yes, and pretty much when I came to Australia, it's pretty much a little bit kind of challenging.
Yeah.
Because you had to adapt to the new culture and you had to see the things that you haven't seen before, something like that. Because and you had to deal with the people, something like that. So, but I believe all the people I met in my workplaces and other places, actually, they helped me a lot to overcome all the culture shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say the culture shock, actually, it was really shocking.
Yeah.
So yes. So because of my cultural background and everything, sometimes I had to went through a little bit hard times as well. But I think it's not surprising, actually. I think everyone will. Whoever comes from a different background, pretty much, it's a very common thing it's not like racism or something like that. It's some kind of, you need to adapt to the different cultural thing or something like that, activities and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I'm really happy. And even my brothers, actually, my sister also here, pretty much my whole family is here, actually. Now they're really enjoying living in Australia. And they really love the working culture.
Yeah.
Everyone support you. So I'm really happy, yes.
And how about you, Bridgette? When you came, did you come with your family or just by yourself?
A funny story. Funny story. I actually never wanted to leave Zimbabwe. I think because I loved it, and talking about currency as well, the currency in Zimbabwe compared to New Zealand was totally different. So I was the only one left in Zimbabwe, and my parents were in New Zealand at the time.
Right.
So I said, I just want to live by myself. Don't even call me. But then obviously my dad was like, no, we need to just apply for your passport for you to come over. So we made a deal. I'm not going to live in the same area as you guys.
Right.
Because you know how it is with
Some
parents,
degrees of separation.
You need to be separated
Yeah.
at some time. So I felt like I was independent enough because, backstory, I actually went to boarding school from when I was about 10 years old.
Really?
Yes. My parents were very open in how we grew up.
Yeah.
They instilled independence in us before we knew anything. My sister went when she was 6.
Wow.
So put in a Christian school. So my family is Christian. So we went to boarding school. I was there since I was 10. So everything, I was in boarding school for 3 months at a time without seeing my parents.
Yeah.
So obviously I was just used to it now. Like,
absolutely.
I miss mum and dad, okay, but I'll see them later kind of situation.
Yeah.
So when I moved to New Zealand, I said, okay, I'm going to be in Christchurch. You guys will be in Invercargill.
Yep.
You know, so I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll see you during the holidays.
You could still do your 3-month stint.
Yeah. And then when I came to Australia, I just came on a whim as well.
Right.
Because in New Zealand, it was common for a person who graduates and then you move to Australia because of the economic differences at that time.
Right.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll just backpack in Australia for I gave myself 6 months. So I just packed my bags and I was living in, backpackers.
Amazing.
For about 6 months. I kept skipping different backpackers. And then I ended up staying here.
Yeah.
And then I told my mom and my dad, I was like, Australia is pretty awesome, guys, because they really didn't want to change. They thought because New Zealand is very good for retirement and good for families, they didn't want to move. But I told them, actually, Australia will be really great for you guys, but don't come to Victoria.
You can move to Queensland.
Yeah, so they ended up in Queensland, where they settled in beautifully.
Oh, so they did come over?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So my mum and my dad are in Queensland and in Chinchilla, small town in Queensland.
Right.
And I'm here in Victoria. So our family is pretty separated. I have a sister who lives in South Korea. I have another sister who's in Brisbane as well.
Yeah, right.
So everyone, as I said, we were brought up very independently.
Yeah, sure.
To just pursue what we want to do as well.
Amazing.
So that's why we see we're not really together, but we're together in spirit.
Yeah, exactly. And how about you, Krishan, when you said that your whole family came to Australia together, was that a decision that you made as a group or?
Yes, actually, yes. My father actually pretty much he made the decision initially.
Yeah.
Then my mom was because we were actually really happy to come to Australia, especially for the studies and everything. My father actually he was a builder here before.
Yep.
So he had an idea how things works here, and he loved the culture, and he loved to work here, and he pretty much like everything about Australia. So
Sure.
and also like my brothers actually they were studying in Sri Lanka those days, and but actually my brother he came to grade 7 to study in Australia, and I believe like he had some kind of challenges as well because pretty much he had to make some really good friends here.
Yeah.
Because those ages like you need to have really good friends to have fun and everything.
Yeah.
But I think he found some kind of difficulties to find some friends, but eventually he managed it really well.
Yeah, I
And-
think it's hard anyway to change
Yes.
school at that age, let
Yes.
alone entire countries.
Exactly.
That's a lot of
Yes,
challenge.
yeah, it's kind of really big challenge. But I think they took it really well, and then they graduated in universities. Now one of my brothers actually he's a doctor. He's in Queensland, and he's really good. He's enjoying. Now, honestly, our initial decision actually was to after we getting graduation to move back to Sri Lanka. Even my sister had the same thing.
Right.
But somehow we changed the decision. Not actually, it's something because initially we were missing the Sri Lanka, our relatives, parents, my grandma, pretty much, and they're calling us every time and asking when you come back to Sri Lanka or something like that.
Yeah.
Initially we were missing, but we realized actually we have really good living conditions here. Living condition means like not only about that earning, not about income, economy, or building something like that. It's about like you have the freedom to make decisions, freedom to see things, freedom to, you can get whatever you want here. That's the freedom actually. You have a freedom of like expressing your opinions or something like that. That's something really good. Something, I'm not blaming Sri Lanka, but sometimes it's really hard to express your own like honest feeling to people and to media or something like that. But here actually you have everything. You have the freedom of everything. Financial freedom, economical side, like pretty much everything you have here. So that's why we changed our decision to not to going back to Sri Lanka and live here forever. But I'll love my culture. I always love of like I want to talk to my people, and I always try to, especially my grandparents. Actually, they are really love that how they build up their own generation or something like that. But only thing is, I want to have my children to have like half of Sri Lankan culture and half of Australian culture has. Well. So I think that's the best way to build up their future.
Yeah. And do you think that you have enough opportunities living in Australia and for both of you to immerse yourself in the cultures that you're used to? Because obviously we have got a very multicultural and diverse population. Do you feel like there's enough opportunities here that you can, when the time comes that you have children and you want them to experience that, obviously you'll want to take them to Sri Lanka, but was there enough community involvement here that you can sort of get that exposure and get that familiarity?
Yes, definitely. As I mentioned before, like I mentioned, like I want my kid to have the half of Sri Lankan culture and half of Australian culture. The reason is actually I know this country very well now because I've been here in Australia for almost 15 years. So I think that's good enough to understand everything, almost everything. My kids actually, they will obviously asking questions about my history and how we managed to come here, something like that, and why they will have a million of questions. Yes, and that's why I need to have like I want to show that this is your roots. So this is you're coming from the Sri Lankan culture. This is your background, and this is the culture and everything. At the same time, I want them to live in Australia. That's why I want to have the other half in Australia of their life. So then they will understand why I made the decision, why my parents made the decision to come to Australia. And the more importantly, that I think you mentioned about that, you're asking about the opportunity. And I believe like Australia is a multicultural country. When compared with other countries, I think Australia has more opportunities. Like the inclusion, like for example, if you go to the workplace, for example, like what you're expecting from the workplace, you're expecting I personally I expect like all the voice need to be heard, and all the prospect you need to be considered, your opinion needs to be considered, and more importantly, you expect you will have the equal access to opportunities. So I believe like that's what you expect from your workplace. And yes, that's why I think we have everything in Australia, especially 99% of the workplace. If we go here, you can see the diversity in the workplaces, which is good, especially for people who's coming from the different background. And also I see the diversity as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the both parties, employee and the employer as well. For the employees, pretty much, when you go some places, you feel welcome. And you don't have any issues, something like that. If you feel like you are getting treated like in a different way than the other people getting treated, so you'll have some kind of, why I'm getting treated like that, you will have some question, something like that. But if you have the feeling that you are really welcome in the place and you will get comfortable and you will have a good chance to show your skills, utilize your skills to build up your career and build up, like you can, obviously you can build up your future and everything. So I think that's the main thing you need to expect. So coming back to your question again, I believe like my kids will have really good opportunities. Doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter the race they're coming from. I believe that Australia is one of the best countries for the multicultural people. So I don't have any fear about their future.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's great to hear. And so you talk about where you sort of have that expectation that when you come into a workplace in Australia, that is the experience that you would have. What does that look like for you walking into a new workplace, and what your expectation is, and what has your experience been? Has it always been that way, that you've walked in and that you felt welcome, or have you had different experiences to that?
I think that's a good question, because I would say for me, I've always been an indifferent person. I would say. If you had issues with me, I would say it's your problem.
And which is absolutely
it's not my
the
problem.
case.
Yes. So with that fact, whenever I went to a workplace, I would definitely look at how I was received as well. And, for me, as I said, I'm pretty indifferent. I didn't notice any treatment that I felt was different from what I was expecting. I thought, maybe because I've been to really few interviews, really. I've just been lucky to immediately get a job.
What a relief. Interviews are a nightmare.
I've been lucky in that way. Of course, I've heard stories from my friends and everything, but then for me, when I go into a workplace, I do expect to be treated, professionally.
Of course.
According to my abilities, according to what you are expecting for a future employee to bring. So all the questions, it was a culture shock for me at first, because in my country, they ask you to bring your school results. How many A's did you get? How many B's did you get? Very, very educational in my country. So my first interview here was, do you have an experience in Australia? I'm like, yes, but aren't you going to ask for my university results? No, I was like, okay, this is so free. That was like, okay, because I came from a really professional kind of how it was. I went to my father's workplace. I went to my mom's workplace when I was young. Everyone's wearing suits and, not very casual like Australia. So that was my expectation when I was coming into a workplace in New Zealand, in Australia. I was like, okay, my first day suit and everything, and everyone's wearing T-shirts and jeans. I'm like, wow, okay, this is different. But it didn't really give me any, like, okay, you're wearing a suit, so you're a different person. Feeling, I was welcomed. And looking at my previous companies that I'd worked for, they were different in how they treated people, but it was still welcoming. I feel.
And I think that's part of the about inclusion and diversity is it's not just about your race or your culture that you come from. It's the way that you dress, the way that you speak, the experiences that you've had. I've worked at very traditional accounting firms before. And then for me, even just the culture shock of coming into a company that is a lot more casual, a lot more laid back in terms of dress code and communication with clients, even that is an adjustment that you have to make yourself. So there's so many different backgrounds that people come from just within Australia. Or for me, like I've, for the majority, lived in Victoria and worked in Victoria within accounting firms, and even the culture between the different firms is so different. So then it's just extra compounded when you're coming from multiple other countries and the different cultures there. So
it's challenging. And also I need to add a small thing and the same question you asked. The previous workplaces, actually I had some issues. I think it's not the big issues, like something that you can't physically see, that some stuff, like you can feel those ones. And some other workplaces I work, actually I saw some I'm getting like treated in a different way, but whenever you feel that way, I think you need to question. So you need to ask. If you are like, if you need to open up yourself and thinking about maybe you need to compare with other people and see actually is actually happening or not or something like that. Maybe it's a misunderstanding or something like that.
So like a perceived
Exactly, because
thing or a real.
Yeah, before you ask and before you speak, I think you need to make sure is that thing actually happening.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it's going to be like really awkward or something like that. But actually, after maybe 3-4 weeks, I noticed this is actually happening. Then I open up myself. Then I spoke with one of the managers over there, but it didn't work properly, and that's why I believe like those workplaces didn't have that diversity. And other thing is, if you go to some good place, actually, you will notice the diversity at the very first day of your work.
Oh, really?
So I had this feeling when I came to Aintree Group. I had because the very first day, you felt that one. You felt like this is a different place. Yeah, that's why that's a good sign for that company that they're having really good diversity. Like that's why I felt the very first day, this is really good place because I felt really welcome, and I felt like I've been here before, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, because that's just really
You
good
had
actually.
the same experience?
I had the same experience.
So that's why like in that way actually you can make your employees more comfortable to working with.
Yeah.
So that's the main purpose actually.
So I guess like part of that would be is in making someone feel welcome, how much of it is, from my perspective, I've grown up here, I've lived here always.
Yeah.
So I sort of have a general sense of belonging.
Yep.
But obviously there's other aspects of welcoming and inclusion for companies that I want to experience. So for me, having been in accounting professional services for a very long time, it has always been very male dominated. And I'm so used to working in that environment, and sort of the assumption in a lot of firms is that if you are a female, generally it's assumed that you're in admin or you're in support or you're a reception or you're a PA. So for me, for Aintree Group, when I was going through the process of considering opportunities and I saw how many female leaders were there, was amazing to me, because the assumption is not going to be that if I'm a female, there's nothing wrong with being in admin and support, but the assumption that because you're a girl in accounting, that's your role. So for me, that was a massive thing for me to feel included and welcome, and that I'm going to get given a fair chance, was there was already so many female leaders in the business. And do you feel the same thing, that the diversity doesn't need to be only in welcoming new team members, but having that representation in leadership as well?
Yes, definitely. Because that's a goal as well you can think of if you've never thought about it. If you've always been just working in the one position or in the one department for a long time, and it's never been in your face that, actually there's someone I know who is actually dominating in a leadership position, and it gives me a chance to think that I actually could get there, actually. So it's really good for our company, Aintree Group, as well, to when I got the call at first, the first thing she said, Renata, the first thing she said was, we're a multicultural company. And that got me, honestly, because I feel that Aintree Group knows that being a multicultural company is a step to actually dominating or improving in an organizational industry, doing what they're doing. So,
how do you think that is taking a step towards dominating? Like, what benefit does it give the company to have a diverse workforce?
I think because, one, our clients are also diverse. We have an opportunity to receive more clients who come from different environments, which means that you can actually connect clients to staff who understand them as well. And new ideas can come up as well from the staff in order to help improve the current company technology-wise. Even as women
Yeah,
as well, we can bring in our own ideas
absolutely.
as well, which I really found so important. Like I felt I was heard,
Yeah,
even if some of my ideas won't pass, but someone heard them,
we'll listen to
will
them.
listen to them.
And I think, Krishan, you sort of touched on it early, like that your opinion and your voice will be heard
Yes.
regardless
Yeah.
of what your background is or who you are as a person coming to the table.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of it, is just being open to listen to everyone as an individual,
Yes. Yeah.
regardless of any diversity that they bring to the table,
Yeah.
and that diversity being an asset
Yeah.
to the company.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as I mentioned before, like if everyone has like equal access for the opportunities in the workplace, that's actually indirectly motivating the everyone. For example, like so regardless of your age or regardless of your gender, like something like that. And I want to mention other thing as well, like disability as well. Like yeah, that's because whenever like the diversity we are thinking about or talking about, everyone thinking about the cultural backgrounds, everything, but even that some people actually disabled, but they are very skillful.
Yeah.
Because they will get the chance as well.
Yes.
And they will, because that's why like from the diversity, everyone will get the equal chance to show their skills, and which is actually, as I mentioned before, as well, this is actually a really good opportunity for the employees to use that talent and to like improve the productivity of the company, may increase the efficiency and everything. And on the other hand, for the employees, actually, they have really good opportunity. Now you get the chance. Now this is your chance, and you have to show your skills. So that's the kind of message you are getting.
Yeah.
So
sorry, go.
Yes. So I think that's why. And other thing is that inclusion and the diversity, this is pretty much like should go like parallel way. So it's for example, like diversity, pretty much we are seeing the things as it is. Like for example, we are seeing the differences and we respect the differences. But inclusion, like pretty much like make sure everything going smoothly and it maintained really well. So it's pretty much like the cake and icing.
Yes.
That's why like you can have the cake, like let's say the cake is like diversity. You can have the cake but without icing, but that's fine. You can still have, but with icing, it's really good.
Yes,
Something
exactly.
like that.
You
Yeah.
can have the diversity, but that needs to be included and ingrained in the organisation
Exactly.
and embraced,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
just tick box. Yes, we've had
Yeah.
all this diversity, but it's how do we all work together in
Together.
cohesion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing is actually that some companies think that diversity is something very nice thing to have in the company,
Yes.
or maybe
It's a show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that, or maybe something must thing have in company. But it's more than that. It's actually it is actually it's improving your reputation in the society and something like that. But actually it's actually showing like how you show your empathy towards to your employees, and how you manage the human beings in that because you're considering those employees as a resource, something
Yes.
like that. So that's how they show that the whole world. It's good, and as I mentioned before, also all the disability people get the chance, and everyone will get the chance. So that in that way, actually, you can get the more benefits, and especially for the employees to, as I mentioned before, the efficiency and everything. So yes, and also I think as Bridgette mentioned, like more ideas, innovative ideas.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
different people come with a different background, have the different ideas. Rather than we having the same set of mind of people, if we have the people at the different mind, for example, like I'm approaching my question the different way, you are approaching it in the different way, and you have a different perspective towards your issues. So in that case, if we have something in the office or maybe client regarding the client or something like that, you'll have more solutions, more approaches and something like that. So that's really good actually.
And you mentioned about one of the differences between Sri Lanka to Australia as being sort of that freedom to speak your mind and to have different ideas. What impact do you think that has on an individual's well-being, that the difference between having an idea and not feeling free to share it versus, as you said before, like you can raise your idea, maybe it will pass, maybe it won't, but you have that ability to share it. What impact do you feel like that has on your sense of well-being in a workplace environment?
In Australia?
Anywhere,
place.
if it was your experience in Australia or what it might be differently elsewhere. Bridgette, like with New Zealand, you know, you might have had a different experience there, or maybe it was the same, but what impact does that freedom and that equal opportunity have on your sort of well-being?
Well, in my culture, you know, adults are, I guess, I don't know what to say the word is, but you have to respect what adults say. Whichever environment you go, workplace, at home, in the streets, if you meet a person who's older than you, you have to respect them. They are right in whatever they say, basically. So what changed for me when I went to New Zealand and came to Australia, because New Zealand and Australia had kind of a different, the same, I guess, mindset in how they operate in that way. Everyone is so free. You can talk to your boss. You can talk to even a grandma, you know, without feeling as if you need to always, you know, put yourself back and not say what you want to say. So for me, it would have been really stressful when I went to New Zealand, because I started working when I was in university part-time.
Yeah.
So that's when I started, I guess, being in contact with the workplace. And I would feel so stressed out because I can't say if there's an issue. What they tell me is what they tell me is right. I can't say no, or I can't put my ideas on there. So every time I'd go home, I'd feel, okay, this is what I'm used to anyway.
Yeah.
This is how I grew up anyway. So they don't really need to hear what I have to say. So it kind of became a bit, you know, as if I'm lowering my sense of being.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So when I moved to Australia, when I started really working, then that's when I started discovering my self-worth, basically. That, you know what, even if I have a culture like that, I can still say my ideas. Even my parents, because they taught me to be really open, they really brought it out of me to say, you know, even if you have to respect your adults, you can say what you want to say.
Yeah.
But just because it's a big environment, like the family is big.
Yeah.
It's not like just you and your parents and your siblings. Yeah. It's grandmas, grandpas, aunts, cousins, big family. I even have an uncle who had like 40 wives. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
So, yes. So it's really huge. So you can't just be listening and be like, oh yeah, okay, I can speak any way I want to. So in the workplace, it really helped me, I guess, discover myself.
Yeah, right.
I'd say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. And it brought out my sense, because I have a passion of traveling as well. So that's how I got into more contact with different cultures.
Yeah.
As well. To see how different people live, how different people think.
Yeah.
What do they do in their cultures, you know? And I've brought it back to myself personally.
Yeah.
And I would say it really, really affects me positively if I work in an environment that actually appreciates me.
Yeah.
And my ideas and, you know, what I bring to the table.
And I think you raised an interesting point, and one thing that we haven't raised in terms of diversity is age. Diversity is another thing as well. And, you know, everyone I think has had the experience where you're young, you're new, maybe you're straight out of uni, or for me, when I came into accounting, I had no background in the industry whatsoever. And once you sort of get in and you start having some ideas, sharing them is not always welcomed.
No.
And it's, what do you know? You're just a kid. Or what do you know? You don't have a degree, which is a thing for me. I'm not an accountant. I don't have a degree, but I've worked in the accounting industry for a long time. And so I still face those challenges as well of, well, you're not an accountant. What would you know? Or not so much now, but when I was younger in my career, you know, working with people who were, you know, 2, sometimes 3 times my age, getting them to listen to me and to value my opinion as well from that regard.
Yes, I think that I can answer that question pretty well because I'm 35 years old at the moment. I was even I was studying accounting those days. Pretty much, I wasn't I could not get the proper accounting job and get into the field. First, I was applying for the internships and everything. Then I was in a totally different field for the 8 years.
Really?
Right, yeah, I was in the retail industry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 8 years. But those days, I had a passion for the accounting, passion for the numbers and everything. I really wanted to get back to the career I always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But some reason, I don't know, there's invisible reasons. I don't know, like some reason I could not find the path to come back to the accounting career. So 8 years, I was in a different field, right? So after 8 years, then I came back to the accounting career I always wanted. So now I can see like people actually are 35 years old accountants. They have gone like really long way than me. But I'm a little bit behind.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I say, like, for example, like that working place like Aintree Group, I don't feel that difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's why you need to have really good diversity at your workplace. And I felt that thing. So I never, like the other workplace I worked before the accounting, I had that really gap. I felt that gap. And it was actually frustrating me, putting some kind of pressure on me. And everyone like not indirectly saying me, you are late, that maybe this is not the career for you, or something like that. Because I wasn't get the support that I always wanted.
Because you were older? Is that what you mean by it's
yes.
not the right career for you? They assume that.
Yeah, they assume that because for example, like I got graduated in 2014.
Yep.
Right. It's pretty much, let's say like, it's almost like 10 years before. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're getting back after 10 years, you're getting back again that accounting field.
Yeah. So,
and you are like in 8 years in the wrong field, the retail industry. Now you're getting back this one. And like, for example, like the last 8 years, when I was doing the retail, when I was working in the retail industry, I had like part-time working in the accounting as well. So when I was working the part-time in accounting, pretty much they were like indirectly giving me a message, this is not the career for you. Maybe, it's too late, or something like that. But I always wanted to become an accountant. That's my passion actually, because retail was the wrong field for me, but I always wanted to be accountant. And that's why I put my effort to become accountant, and I applied again the jobs and everything, and I got good experience, initial experience. Then I got really good opportunity to get work at the Aintree Group. So now I'm 35, I'm accountant, and I don't feel I'm far behind. I think I still have like a really future ahead, and I have more things to achieve. So my point is like age is not the thing that need to, regardless of my age.
Yeah.
I think I can moving forward.
But I think it's the same for any diversity that you bring to a team, whether it's your age, your culture, your gender, your sexual orientation, any of those things. As you just said, the age is irrelevant. Everything else is also irrelevant.
Yes.
It's about the passion that you bring, the skills that you bring, the opinions that you bring. That is all that matters. And if we can so easily just say, oh, age doesn't matter. It's the exact same with any other kind of diversity that someone brings to the team. That's irrelevant, whether I'm male or a female. In my instance, that's a challenge that I had. Whether I was accounting qualified or not was irrelevant because I had the skills and experience I needed to do my role within the business. The same as everyone else brings their, like, people are hired for a reason for their skills and the experience that they bring.
Exactly.
Anything else is entirely irrelevant.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I think that's a really important thing. I guess, like, in saying that the supportive environment that we have, can you give any examples of what that support looks like? What does it look like? What does it feel like where you have experienced it before, whether it was a particular manager or leader in the business or just a colleague or organization as a whole? When we say that you received that good support and you felt that, what did it look and feel like?
Well, I think comparing now to before I would be just thrown a project to do, but with no support. They'd say, oh, you go and research yourself. But then they'd come back to me and say, why are you so slow? But I'm like, well, you didn't really give me clear instructions and you don't really let me know or show me how to do things. But when I came to Aintree Group, I mean, it's so amazing. There's always a guru of something in Aintree Group, a guru of Excel sheets, a guru of payroll, a guru of accounting. So there's always someone that has their door open to actually, you can just go in. Can you give me 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Can you just show me how to do this? Like just yesterday, I just asked someone to help me redact a certain thing on a document because I didn't know how to do that. I felt, oh, this is too technical for me. And then, just 5 minutes, the person was busy.
Yeah.
And they just came over and then they showed me how to do it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like support for me. Yeah. It's not like you just left to hang by yourself, left to figure out things on your own.
Yeah.
I support, I feel like Aintree Group helps in the growth of employees. They support that. If you want to learn something, they are there for you, to support you in that, to develop more skills. Just the other month, we were asked, what skills do you think you want to develop? We can help you with that.
Yeah.
So that's what made me feel like, oh my gosh, what's this company? Because you never really get that in workplaces.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that really was amazing for me. When I tell my parents this, they're like, are you there for work? Every day I take pictures of all kinds of different foods on the table because you never actually get that in different companies.
Yeah.
They want employees to be happy.
Yeah.
Regarding whatever background, whatever, where you're from, what you do, they just want everyone to work well and be happy and be motivated to stay.
Yeah.
So when I just finished my probation, someone was like, so you're not going to leave? I'm like, no, I'm here to stay forever because where can you get a company that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Where can you get a company like Aintree Group that gives you so much motivation? You wake up happy. I used to be stressed when I was going to bed because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble because I didn't finish this, or I need to do this. But with Aintree Group, you always feel I'm happy in the morning. I'm going to work, Yeah.
And how much do you think it's important? So I'm not sure. I think you were here last year for Culture Week.
Yes, I was
Krishan,
there.
were you here for Culture Week last week? It was in about September.
Last year or
last year? Sorry.
No.
No.
So we did an event. Then it was all about our wider culture in terms of our organizational culture. But one of the events that we did, just as an example, was we had I can't remember what the name of it was, but we basically had a lunch where everyone was able to bring in food from their own culture or their own backgrounds. Which for me was amazing because I just want to try all the different kind of food.
Yeah, it's good.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
But in terms of, for me, there's not a lot that's Australian cultural food, sausages, I don't know. But do you think, in terms of, obviously that's just a point of interest and was a fun thing that we all did and we all came together. But in terms of your sense of belonging, being able to share your cultures, is that a big importance, or it's more the same as for me where it just was a fun thing to do?
I think for me it was important. Now I want to go to visit some places.
All those countries.
Because we had these, we had this video with different facts about each country, whichever staff was from.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, seriously? Is that what Scotland is about?
Yeah.
I want to go visit because I love traveling.
Yeah.
I love some of the food. I've asked for recipes as well. So I think for me, things like that, I really delve into it more deeply and find out more. And that helped me actually discover some people I didn't know that, you'd think, oh, they're Australian.
Yeah.
But no, someone's from Norway.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting, I feel. And I think it was nice for that to happen.
Yeah.
To discover that, well, actually, it's more multicultural than I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Krishan? Have you ever sort of seen any initiatives within organisations, whether it be cultural or any other kind of diversity programs that you've come across that organisations have done well and have increase that sense of belonging for their team members?
The place I worked before, or maybe
Or anywhere, or whether it's in workplace.
the first thing that come to my mind is actually Aintree Group. That's the best place I have seen, honestly, because all the places I have seen or I worked, I couldn't see anything very specific to that kind of field.
So they weren't making that additional effort to.
They show some kind of effort, but actually it's not working. So to be honest, so I felt that way. The retail places I worked before, actually, they try to show that they try to care or something like that, but it's actually just for the books.
And what was it about it that gave it that feeling?
The reason is actually the very first day, for example, like they're gonna start doing this kind of program, right? But they don't maintain it really well,
right?
So that's the good sign that pretty much they wanted to. They're just doing something just to show, or maybe, okay, we care about you, something like that. But it's not maintaining. The first 2 weeks will go really well. Then after, no one wants to talk about it.
Sure. And I think like a lot of feedback has been about that with like International Women's Day, where companies sort of make a big deal about it on that day.
Yes.
But as you said, like throughout the rest of the year,
dies down.
I totally agree with you, Amy, because for example, we will get the Women's Day or maybe some other days. This is not that only one day. It's a 365.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the only thing is we point of one day, because just want to make sure, like, try to make awareness of the people, like, we have this kind of day or something like that. But this is not only limited to just one day in a year.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to have the pretty much 365.
Yeah.
And also, as I mentioned before, like with some places actually try to show that they have empathy for the employee, something like that. But the short run, it will work, but it's not in the long run.
Yeah.
But if we actually truly care about the employees, you will get to know in the long run.
Yeah.
So
that's just ingrained in the culture.
Exactly.
It's not something that they planned out that on this day we're going to recognize this.
Yes.
It's just we value you every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I think I don't know how do I call this? I think it's called, maybe I can call it character diversity.
Yeah.
Should I call it that?
Yeah,
character
absolutely.
diversity.
So like personality.
Personality.
Yeah.
So a company that I used to work for has made it into a company culture to, when you join the company, you have to do a personality test.
Yeah.
Right. And then this further helps you work with your employee, with your, I guess,
your team members.
Yeah. Yes. So when you finish your test, you have the different cards. You see different cards on everyone's tables.
Oh, really?
And it's all colored. You know, if you're red, it shows, you get angry. Or if you're blue, it means you're like an admin person. If you're green, it means you're a techie person.
Yep.
And then they do a whole like presentation of, what it means. Like if I'm working with a person who's in the green, this person just wants a straight email, no fluffing about how are you, good morning. So this kind of also helped, in how to approach different people that you don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's another element of diversity as well, is we all have our own personalities and our own ways that we prefer to work. The way that I prefer to work and people to interact with me is, I think, vastly different.
Yeah.
Bridgette, working with you in the last couple of months is very different.
So different,
And I think that's also an important thing for me, that I can feel empowered, that I can put those boundaries in place, that this is how I work best.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be most productive and most beneficial to the team if I can put these boundaries in place to protect myself. I'm a very introverted person and I like to focus and concentrate. That's so critical to me.
Yeah.
But for other people working in an office environment, they need the conversations and the talking and, always something going on, and that's how they best thrive. And that's such an important also part of diversity. Reaches into, people who are, we talked about disabilities early on, but neurodiversity as well is another important thing and that's something that you can't see. You don't know that exists.
Yeah, definitely.
And just being able to say, hey, actually, this is what I need to be able to thrive, and having the freedom to say that and put that into place so that I can feel comfortable and welcome to work the same as anyone else that has their own particular background and needs, to be able to say the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like I discovered I like colors. I'm very creative. So if you give me anything in a graph form or, I would definitely look at that as a priority.
Good
was
to
what
know.
I discovered,
Yeah.
I'm very happy and cheerful. You say good morning and,
Yeah.
how was your day?
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
So I really discovered that way when I started working with different people that,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we're so different.
Yeah.
But then we can actually work together because I know how you work. I know what you want. I know,
Correct.
what's a priority to you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so have you ever come across a situation either with yourself or with someone that you were working with where you noticed, not necessarily perhaps within yourself, but that somebody else was being excluded or treating differently or, that you could recognize that with someone else, and were you able to do anything to support them or to intervene or to advocate for them?
Treated differently, not really. I think I'm the kind of person who can just, I guess, talk to you if I see you by yourself.
Yeah.
I think. But I haven't come up or had a situation where it's someone who's talked about, and it's become an issue that I have to step in and say something.
Yeah.
I haven't been in that kind of situations, or because maybe I don't allow myself to be in those kind of situations because people already know me. I'm not really a person who likes to, I guess, talk about people behind their back at work. You have to talk to them, and figure whatever it is to figure out.
Yeah.
That's why most of the time people say, Bridgette, you don't know anything. You don't know what's going on because really I don't involve myself in situations at all.
And how about you, Krishan, when you said that you...
I think you need to protect yourself. It's not about the physical protection or something like that because some people actually I know everyone not having the good day or also everyone not having the bad day. So doesn't matter other people what you're having, but you need to protect your circle. For example, if you want to work here, you need to focus. It doesn't matter. Some people try to interact with you, and sometimes they try to disturb you in the different ways or something like that. But end of the day, what we are here for the work actually. So we need to get it done. So as long as if we are not hurting someone's feeling, and not physically or mentally or something like that. So I think then you can have a good chance to construct your work and get it done. But sometimes the work situation is not that exact way in for example it could change. Sometimes the people, when we have so much workload or something like that, people getting frustrated and people getting angry. Sometimes it's very, very normal because everyone is human. You need to understand each other. For example, if Bridgette has so much work and I have so much work, if she come to me and asks different things, sometimes if I get angry or maybe if she get angry, because I can understand, okay, maybe she's having a bad day, maybe she's had a lot of work to do, something like that. If you have that kind of understanding about each other, I think that's the best way of working at the workplace. Working at the workplace is pretty much, it's not very artificial place. It's very natural. Everyone living with the feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone's human being. Everyone feel everything. So.
And do you think that because we have, obviously just speaking at Aintree Group, because we do have that very, everyone is very welcome, and I hope everyone feels very comfortable working there, that maybe you feel a little bit more able to show that as well?
Yes, maybe, because I think, for example, let's say some other workplaces, for example, you are a different person at home and you're a different person at work.
Yeah.
Right? But in Aintree Group, I think you can be the same person. That's good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's who you are. You're showing the people exactly who you are. And as long as they have the understanding about you, it's all right.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the best signs of inclusivity is where exactly what you said, that everyone can just come and be themselves, regardless.
Yeah.
And then I think, as you said, then you don't have this issue of when you walk in the door, you've got to, I've got to be this Amy or this Krishan or this Bridgette today. It's just, I am me and here I am to do my job, and everyone is going to listen to me and respect me and treat me professionally.
That's true, yes. As long as everyone have respect for each other and understanding for each other. So I think that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even things not everywhere like going well. Some people getting frustrated, getting angry or something like that.
Maybe
It's all right. Everyone's human being.
Yeah.
Maybe we have
Yeah.
like stress management practices
Yeah.
somewhere. Like, how do you manage your stress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like one of the main things that we were, discussing today is that, yes, everyone has stress and we have workload pressures and we have deadlines and we have, people studying for their CA or trying to get to the next level, all of those professional challenges that we're also able to eliminate as much as possible any other challenges that people are facing, such as diversity and inclusion. It's like, okay, if we can wipe all of those other challenges out of people's way so they can just focus on what they're here to do, their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really, I think it's being done at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, but personally, I really don't feel any exclusion in anything. I think I can talk and laugh with people, anyone at work. I can also still do my job and concentrate and, as well. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
Amazing. So I guess like a take-home message for our listeners, what's the impact of diversity and inclusion in the workplace on an individual sense of well-being?
I think diversity is actually fun.
Yeah.
That's my one word for that one, because it's good to have the different people in your workplace. Like you can have like different stories about the culture, different food, as we mentioned before, and also we love to travel to the places. We need to see the places what they're talking about, something like that. It's good. It's also it's actually like improving the teamwork and more productivity, innovative ideas. So that's the thing. I think that's the diversity actually we must have in any workplace, especially in the next generation as well, because I think next generation of society will be more challenging than the current society. So in that case, we need to have more diversity in workplaces rather than ever before, actually. So I think my one word is for the diversity is fun for me, actually. This is my personal opinion for that one.
Excellent. How about you, Bridgette?
Well, I think for me it's learning.
Yeah.
That's my word, learning. As I said, I love to learn about different cultures. I once had a goal of learning 8 different languages.
Amazing.
I'm not really at 8 yet.
What are you up to?
I'll say I'm at 5 and a
Amazing.
half. But yeah, I'm trying to still learn more about different. I think I also wanted to travel to all countries in the world at some point. I'm still counting. I'm ticking off my places as I travel, and I feel like learning in a workplace environment because of the diversification, whatever kind of diversification we have some points to learn. Even if it's someone older, you can learn from that. If it's someone younger, you can learn from that person because you don't know where everyone's coming from. You don't know what everyone is bringing. So every day you can never stop learning. That's how I feel. And I really, as I said, I have fun with that as well.
Excellent. I think mine would be understanding is the number one thing for me. And the more exposure that we have to different types of diversity, whether they're physical, cultural, whatever background or diversity that people bring to the table helps me to greater understand people and how they work. Obviously, in my role as operations, it's making everything run smoothly. The better I can understand people, the better I can make the systems work for them. So for me, the greater exposure I have to different ideas, the way different people work, the experiences they've had beforehand can help me to bring that all together and make it the best and the most efficient place to work. So for me, it's understanding. I want to know about everyone, all of their backgrounds, whatever challenges they have in their past, what they've overcome to get to where they are now, and how we can harness all of that experience and bring it together to be a really cohesive, great place to work.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for your time and for
Problem.
joining me today, and hope our listeners got to enjoy our little journey around corporate diversity.
Oh, that's good. Thank
you for having us, Amy.
Yes.
Thank you.